Hello, Starlight. I'm going to bring to you the Sunday school lesson for the week of September 27th. This is lesson number 4, and the title of our lesson is God Provides Judges to Help Moses. The lesson text is Exodus 18:13 through 26. The golden text reads, "And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do." That's Exodus 18 and 20. I'm going to read the introduction and then I'm going to whisper a word of prayer. So the introduction says, the noun burnout entered in English language less than a century ago. Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary defines it as exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually as a result of prolonged stress or frustration. Almost anyone is susceptible to burnout. The demands and pressures of life can challenge people physically, mentally, and emotionally. Management textbooks and seminars tell us that one of the primary means of dealing with stress and avoiding burnout is delegation, assigning authority or responsibility to others. Stress and burnout are nothing new, of course, and neither is the mechanism of delegation to relieve stress and improve efficiency. That lesson was learned some 3,400 years ago in the Sinai wilderness. And I'm going to whisper a word of prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this day, God. Thank you for letting us see another day which we've never seen before, a day which we will never see again. I pray that we made the best of this day, that we will bring glory to your name, Lord God. I pray that you would touch our hearts and minds so that we may be and do what it is you would have us to be and what you would have us to do according to your word. And may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, so we have 3 outlines. The first outline is perceptive conclusion, and that's Exodus 18:13 through 18. The second outline is sound advice, and that comes from Exodus 18:19 through 23. And then the last outline is humble action, and that's Exodus 18:24 through 26. So we're going to start with the first 18 verses 13 through 18. I'm going to read them. Well, first I'm going to just start off by reading a little something, and then I'm going to get into the scriptures. One of the things we've learned last week is that no one can do everything. We learned that. God has created all of us to have a need for him, but also a need for other people. God has created us that way. One of the quickest ways for people to completely burn out and lose their passion is to try to do more than God has equipped them to do. In this week's lesson, Moses faced burnout because he was trying to shoulder the entire load of leading Israel. And this is true for many pastors, and this is true for many individuals as well, where people single-handedly try to shoulder the whole load, and we know that will cause burnout. But that happens that is so true today with pastors and many people, not even just in the church, but in their personal lives, where they try to just handle the whole load, and it's just too much. But listen, saints, it's just too much, and it causes burnout. It's just too much, and it causes burnout. But let me say this, many times, or shall I say most of the times, the reason why the pastors or those individuals would take it amongst themselves to do everything is because they don't have any help. They don't have people that are just going to step up and say, well, I'll do this or I'll do that. So they just feel the need to just, pretty much do everything themselves. And so that's pretty much why we have burnout, because we don't have help. No one else would just step up and help. The pastor or that individual would just want to do it all themselves, and that's usually what happens. So this is the problem. Everybody wants things to be done, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They want it to be done, but they won't step up and do it. We want our churches to flourish. We want it to run smoothly, but most of the stress, or most of the the job is mostly on the pastor, and the church a lot of times expects the pastor to do it all, but he cannot. Church, let me say this, he cannot do it all. He needs our help. Case in point, everyone wants a well-rounded church, everything to flow well, but no one wants to put in the work. So that puts the burden of the one who is taking charge, and they become burnout. And we know that the one taking charge is normally the pastors of the church. We know that they take charge, but they have to carry the whole burden, and that's just, they cannot. It's not humanly possible. God did not create us to do it all. He created us to need to depend on Him, and also to depend on other people. We need to help one another out. That's just point blank. We need to help each other out. So let's see what let's find out, let's see what Moses' new method, or would he find a new method, or would he just fall, would he just fall by the flames? Would he just be burnt out? So we're going to see in this lesson actually what action, which way Moses, which way it goes. So let's give a little background, and then we'll get into the lesson. Leading up to our lesson in verses, so we're going to go back to verses 8 through 12. 1 through 12, leading up to the lesson, and it was just where at some point Moses has sent his wife and his sons back to be with his father-in-law, who was Jethro. And from Midian, Moses' father-in-law, he heard everything that God had done to deliver Israel out of Egypt. So he just felt it was time for him to go back and meet up with Moses. So he just felt that this was the proper time for him to go back and set up a meeting with Moses to reunite his family back with him. So Jethro, set up a meeting, and he went back. And of course, when he went back, Moses welcomed his father-in-law with open arms. They fellowshipped him and some of the elders, and Jethro, they fellowshipped, and Moses had explained all that God had done for his people. And Jethro, he began to worship God. So we'll see here where Jethro is of course a man of God. So Jethro is gonna see what's going on, and he's just gonna let Moses know, no, we gotta do something. We gotta do something different. So let's get into our lesson, and we're gonna see where in the beginning where Jethro, he discovers a problem. So he kind of sits back and he watches and he sees what Moses is doing, and then he just discovers a problem. So I'm gonna read to you the first the verses 13 through 18. And that's the first outline, which is perceptive conclusion, or shall I say, Jethro discovers a problem. The problem is addressed, and there we have which was a load too heavy to bear, which is Exodus 18:13 through 18. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from morning unto evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto evening, to even? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of God. So when they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one another, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, The thing that thou doest is not good. He said, Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. So when Moses' father-in-law had saw what he was doing, he was like, Moses, what are you doing? What are you and these people doing? That you sit up here from morning to the evening, and you try to help these people. You're judging the people, and then Moses comes back and tries to explain what he was doing. I'm just trying to teach them the laws, the laws of God and the statutes of God, and just try to get them to help. He just pretty much wanted to help the people out. And Jethro was just shaking his head. It's just, no, that's not a good idea. The morning after the great fellowship celebration with Jethro, Moses resumed his daily schedule. So when Moses went back to resume his daily schedule, that was when he was going to judge the people. Moses had a genuine heart for the people, and all of that was reflected and his willingness to devote himself to to help the help the people by um, hearing the disputes and making judgments between the people, and also instructing them on the statutes and the laws of God. So this is all the things. So Moses was doing everything. He was handling the disputes. He was teaching them the laws of God. He was listening to the people. So that's a lot for one person to do. That is a lot. You will get burnt out. Moses was carrying on the work as a judge for some time now. But this day, the people were standing up in front of Moses, and Moses was, he sat down and they were standing up in front of him, and, from early morning to late evening, not able. And so, of course, early morning to late evening, it was so much, he wasn't even able to finish. So one day Jethro observed, which is his father-in-law, he observed what Moses was doing, and he was like, this is not good. So he said, this is just simply too much. And it was clear to him that this could not continue. Jethro was like, this cannot continue to go on. It's just simply too much. And so Jethro says, he just asked Moses, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are these people doing? And so he asked Moses, he said, why do you sit alone? Why are you doing this by yourself? You need some help. That's what he, telling Moses. But of course, a lot of us, a lot of times we won't ask for help, and we want to do it ourselves because we feel if nobody's helping, then we want to do it all ourselves. I know I'm guilty of it. If I see something going on, if something is going on and I'm doing it, and someone sees me and they know I need help, if they don't offer, I'm not going to ask for it. So I'm going to try to do it all by myself. And of course, I get burnt out. So this is just not good. Jethro saw it, and he just wanted to let Moses know, this is not good. You're not going to be able to continue to do this. You're going to get burnt out. But Jethro, I was using this in like today's terms. He was like, Moses, hold up. You can't keep doing this. He said, what you're doing is not good. You just can't. You just can't keep doing this. He said, this is just too big for you. All of these people coming to you one at a time, and you have to sit and listen to these people. You have to try to settle matters. You have to try to teach. All of this, Moses, it's just way too much. You sit all day. They stand all day. It's just too much. Overload, burnout. So he questioned Moses about this, and Moses explained that the people were coming to him to inquire of God. And so, of course, if someone is coming to you to inquire of God, especially if you're a pastor or leader, then you're gonna sit and you're gonna help the people no matter what. When the people wanted answers, of course, logically, the logical option was to go and to talk to Moses, to get answers. So now, and then that's when Moses became the judge of the people. We know that he was the leader of the people collectively. Of course, when he led them out of Egypt, of course, he was the leader and he led them collectively. But at this point, not only is he leading them collectively, now he's the judge, and he's over them individually. So he has to listen to, all these people, and just like they had problems, collectively, they had problems individually, which became too much. Burnout is just too much. He just couldn't do it. And when his father-in-law told him, father-in-law stepped up, Moses, what you're doing is not good. What you're doing is not good. He said it's just, you can't continue to do that. And it's not that he was saying what he was doing wasn't good. It's the way he was doing it. He needed help. It's like, okay, you're talking to the people, judging the people. It's not bad that you're doing that. It's just bad at the way you're doing it. You're not going to be able to continue that way, and you're just going to get burnt out. So now Jethro gives sound advice, and that's where we get to our second outline. So we know that Jethro sat back and he watched what Moses was doing, and he was like, nope, this is not going to work, Moses. I have some sound advice of what you need to do. And now we're going to see, did Moses listen? So we're going to see. So now we're going to go to the second outline. Chapter 18, verses 19 through 23. And it says, hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them, to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So it shall be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure all this. The people shall also go to their place in peace. So now he gives sound advice, and he says, Moses, listen, you can't do it all. He says, now listen to me. When he says, hearken unto my voice, he said, Moses, listen to me. Listen carefully. He says, I'm going to give you counsel, and I need you to listen to me. He says, and God shall be with you. So of course, if God is with him, then he knows he's going to be able to do what's necessary after he takes this sound advice. He says that thou may bring the causes to God. He said, thou shalt teach them the ordinance of the laws, and thou shalt show them the way wherein they must walk and where they will. He said, continue to do that. You show them the way to walk. You show them the ways of God. You show them how they walk and the work that they must do. So you continue to do that. He said, but you should provide, you need some help. And he tells him, he said, moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men. He told him what kind of men to provide. He told him what kind of men to choose. You don't just go and pick any kind of men. You're gonna pick honest men. You're gonna pick people that are able to lead. You want to pick someone that's able to lead. So he told him, men of truth. Especially men that fear God. That's what number one. A man that fears God. A man that's truthful. A man that's of truth. He says that they don't covet. They're not covetous, and he said, place them to be the rulers over the small matters. He said, you judge the heavier matters. You do that. He said, but the small stuff, he said, let them judge over it. Let them help you, so that will lift some of your burden. That's what he was telling Moses. He said, if you do this, he said, and God command you, he said that you will be able to endure. If you do what I'm telling you, get these leaders, let them help you. He said, then you will be able to do what God has called you to do. You won't have burnout. You won't get distracted. You won't give up. The people won't get tired. How it is when people get tired, they won't listen, and they want to walk away. So he said, if you do this, he said, and then all the people will go away in peace. But of course, if you know that this is not getting done, these people are gonna be murmuring like they did when they was coming, out of Egypt. We always murmur when we think something's not going right. So I'm gonna so Jethro gives Moses sound advice. He sat Moses down, and he had a good old talk with him, and he told him all these things that he should do. And Jethro told him to listen, and Moses did. Moses listened to him. Jethro didn't hesitate. He didn't hesitate to voice his opinion. That's what he did, which is good. If it's something that God has led you, and it's from God, and he has led you to tell another, someone, if you want to help them, it's okay. It's okay. You can go and do that. So, and that's what you should do. Don't hesitate. So when Jethro told Moses what he was doing, he told him what he was doing was not good, but then he told him why. Because it's too much for you. It's not good because it's just too much. You cannot. Eventually, you're gonna burn yourself out. Just bottom line, you're gonna burn yourself out. He said the people over time, they will become detrimental. He said this will become detrimental. He said Moses will become exhausted, ineffective, and impatient with the people by constantly dealing with their questions and their complaints. And he would, of course. I mean, any human would. You constantly dealing with people, people's attitudes, their questions, their complaints, and eventually you'll get exhausted, burnout. It's just too much. The people will become weary. They will become impatient. And you know how it is. People only think that their problems are the only ones important. The same thing. It's like this is how we are with pastors. We think that only our problems are the only important problems. So we think that the pastor should only be there for us. It's almost like, well, the pastor didn't do this for me, or the pastor is doing everything else. He cannot do it all. Let me say this. He needs help. He cannot do it all. Burnout. We do not want to burn him out. He needs help. Moses faced the danger of losing sight of what was more important, and that was reaching Canaan. So, of course, God didn't want him to lose sight of that. So it's like, listen to Jethro. He's telling you right. Just listen to him and do what he says. And Jethro advised Moses to carefully select the qualified men, which he did. These judges were to take care, like I said, of the the smaller matters, which was easier. It's easy because Moses, you taking care of the big matters, and the small matters is just too much. Let them handle those small matters. You go ahead and handle that. Just like this, let me say this with the church, all of this little bitty stuff, these little bitty fires, these little bitty issues. Let the elders or the deacons or the leaders of the church, let them handle those small matters. The pastor is to lead. He is to teach. He is to guide. He is to instruct. He is to pray. We also are to pray for others. But the pastor cannot do it all. We are to help him out. Let's just be, leaders that are willing to help our pastor out. The pastor's responsibility as leader of the church is to be God's representative to the people, to teach God's laws, and to be the spokesman to the people for God. That's what the pastor is to lead, to guide, not to handle the little feuds, the little fires, the little stuff, the little bitty stuff, the little issues. That's no. He has a bigger job to do. He cannot handle all of that. Let somebody else handle that. He cannot. He will get burned out. Just like Jethro told Moses to teach the people how to obey the law of God, that's what the pastor's job. Same thing. Teach the people the laws of God. You handle the heavier matters with the people, and let those other leaders handle the smaller matters. Jethro said, "Listen, Moses," he said, "God shall be with thee." He said, God is going to help you carry out the advice that your father-in-law, God is going to help you carry out that advice your father-in-law has given to him. He said, first bit of advice, he said, be thou for the people of God were saying that Moses should represent the people before God. So he was telling him to represent the people for God, and he advised Moses to teach the people the laws and to do everything that of course, that he was supposed to do, and that God would take care. And God would take care of all of this if Moses would just listen to Jethro, and let some other people handle that. And this is a little something that I got from the expositor, and it was pretty good. It says, this is the methodology. He said, doesn't this all make sense? Isn't it all logical? Why did Moses think of this? What Jethro told him. Why did Moses think of this? To let somebody else help him. Doesn't it all make sense? Isn't it all logical? Why did Moses think of this? Because Moses was stuck in the problem. When we're stuck in the problem, we don't think of the solution. We just try to make our way through it and try to do it ourselves, and then we have burnout. But God sent Moses' father-in-law to help him, to tell him, you can't do it all. Get you some help. Pastor, you can't do it all. We love you. Let the people help you. Church, he cannot do it all. Let's help him. He will have burnout. We love our pastor, and we need to help him carry the burden. Help him carry the load. He cannot do it all. The pastor needs our help. He cannot do it alone. In our churches today, we need to find those among us with such character to be elders, deacons, and helpers of all kinds. That's what we need. If we find the elders, deacons, leaders of all kinds that will help, true, honest men, true men, men that fear God, then this can work. The pastor cannot do it all. The leader cannot do it all. This is a message for the church and for the pastors. We need to help each other. Stop letting the pastor do it all. We need to step in, step up, and help him out. He cannot do it all. He will have burnout. if we do what God tells us to do, then it will all work. So then I'm going to get to the last outline, humble action. And all in the humble action is just showing you that Moses did exactly what his father-in-law advised him to do. And I'm just going to read these last 3 verses. So Moses hearkened unto the voice of his father-in-law and did all he said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, rulers of tens. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard cases, the hard causes, they brought unto Moses. But every small matter, they judged themselves. So see, it all worked out. Moses got help. He listened. He humbled himself. He listened to sound advice. Listen to sound advice. If it's the word of God, if it's coming from a man of God, woman of God, and it's sound advice, hearken, listen. We cannot do it alone. We are not in this alone. We are all in this together. Let's continue to help each other out. Again, I say, the leader, the pastor, cannot do it all. He needs help. If he continues to try to do it all, or if he continues to do it, he will be burnt out. Don't burn your leader out. Love him enough to help him. I hope that this lesson has helped someone, and that maybe continue to stand together in God and continue to help one another and continue to love your pastor and help him. I want to say God bless you, and may God keep you is my prayer.